Let's talk about making and managing your money as a creative while we have happy hour together. I have red wine. It's a Pinot Noir. It's so cute. And we're going to talk about money because there's a lot of things that I see creatives thinking and doing that could be shifted just a little bit to make you some more money, to have money be less of a stress for you. I do have a podcast episode about stressing less from money. And I'm going to probably be talking a little bit about some of those topics today. I've got, 5 main points that I want to talk to you about. My main method of kind of handling money is mindset, and then I have some general tools that I think will be helpful for, like tips that'll be helpful for you in thinking about managing your money and thinking about creating money. And kind of the main tenet of this live is the idea that it is much more valuable to focus on creating more money than it is to focus on spending less money. Now, there's a lot of nuance to that saying, of course, but the main thing being, instead of hyper focusing on how can I spend less, which tends to go into kind of like a guilt and shame sort of place, we're focused on how can I just create more. Now, this doesn't need to be how can I create the most money and you know, just like have unlimited wealth or anything like that, but just if you don't feel like you have enough for the bills, for a good life, for whatever, then you want to learn how to create more. So the main tenet of this live is to focus on creating more versus spending less. But that doesn't mean that you don't look at things that are like, I don't really need to be spending this money anymore. And I think I had a story that I was going to tell about that I wrote down. Oh yeah. Okay. I'm going to talk about that. I have some notes so that I don't forget what I'm talking about. Throughout this live, it's a happy hour. It's meant to be a conversation. We're just hanging out in the speakeasy. If you have any questions, if you want me to elaborate on anything, I'll do my best to elaborate during this happy hour. If something seems like it's just like I need to go into a lot more detail, then I might do a separate happy hour, separate live, create some content for you all to help you out with this. Because money, of course, is a really big topic, and I called this budgeting for creatives, and I think budget is kind of a nuanced word. I think everyone kind of has their own idea of what that means, and for me, I don't have like a really strict budget. I have a way that I manage my money, and I check in with it very often. Like I'm in a relationship with my money, which is what I posted on my stories today, that I am in a relationship with my money, and that is what I would suggest for you as well, is what kind of a relationship do you want to have with money as a creative? How does it fit into your creative lifestyle? And, you know, it's going to be a challenge to have a relationship with something that you hate. So if you hate money, I would encourage you to think of it how I think about it, which is just, money's just a fact. Like money is just a thing. It's what we exchange for value. And you, for sure, should come up with your own idea about how you feel about money and find a way to be in relationship with it so that you benefit each other, right? So that you can utilize it and not have all of this stress surrounding it. Because if you're in a relationship with it, if you're in a relationship that you feel good about with money, truly how much is in your bank account doesn't matter. Now, that doesn't mean it doesn't matter in general, but in terms of like how you feel about it, it no longer, like the number no longer dictates how you feel about it. And that is what I would think of as the goal. Now, tell me what your goals are with money. But I think everyone will want to have a good relationship with money, and I think a part of that is just seeing it as this, it's a fact, it's a tool. I use it as a goal because it's something tangible that I can look at. And this is something I was talking about with a client today that I am going to talk about in a minute, but I really want to give you kind of my main tip for where you might be starting at, which is something that I've talked about with multiple clients. And it's knowing your baseline. And this is something that really, really helped me when I was like in between jobs. I wanted to go full time with my business and I didn't know how to really pay the bills. Like I didn't have enough money coming in. And something that really helped me was to focus on my baseline. And you get to decide what that looks like. If you want to work it out with someone, now of course I'm not your financial advisor, but I can coach you through your decisions about money. I can help you decide for yourself. I will not make any sort of decisions for you, but I can guide you towards your own truth about it. For sure, book a call with me. But your baseline is what is the minimum that I need per month. Now, you can decide if you want to do it a different time frame, but I just look monthly at bills and finances, and that works well for me. You get to decide, just put in a different time frame for that. What is the minimum that I need to feel okay? Whatever feeling you're going for, I would say, not stressed or good or neutral, like whatever you're wanting to be feeling. You don't want to go like, the baseline is not for like, I feel amazing, money, I'm the most abundant I've ever felt. Like that is a separate goal from your baseline. Your baseline's like, I feel like I can breathe. I feel like I could buy myself a coffee if I wanted to. Your baseline is going to be personal to you. And what I would suggest, again, not your financial advisor, none of this is financial advice, I'm just giving you things that have worked for me that I think might be useful for you, is look at like, what are my monthly bills? What are the ones that are static, meaning like, it's $13 or whatever for Netflix every month. Like I know that that's $13 every month. What are the ones that kind of fluctuate, but I have mostly control over, like electricity bills like that? And if it's something that you get every couple of months, just break it down into what would it be monthly. What are your yearly expenses? Like I pay for my car insurance yearly, so I break that down into a 12-month number. What are the things that I, like, what's my personal spending? Now, of course, that's one that you would want to look at if you do want to consider spending less at this point in time. If spending is an issue for you, then looking at what am I actually spending every month? Like looking at your bank statements, averaging that out and saying, is that a number that I'm comfortable with? Do I want to look at what I could do about that? Could I cut out some of these monthly expenses? Could I cut out some of the things that I'm spending money on? And the story that I wanted to tell you is that you start to think about your intentions when you are buying things, and you want to know your baseline, and you want to also be evaluating it regularly. So you have this baseline amount for money, which is, like I said, it's your bills, it's your personal spending, and if you want to put something into savings, I would suggest, not financial advice, just a suggestion, factoring in savings into your monthly budget, your monthly baseline, so that you have that, like be thinking about it. What was the thing I was about to say? Boop, 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 boop. Anyway, okay, so you want to be thinking about the intentions when you are spending, doing an evaluation. So you look at it every month and say like, okay, so I've kind of looked at what my baseline is, and I've looked at my personal spending, and that's kind of the thing you have a lot more control over, which would be things like if you go out to eat, if you buy yourself a coffee, if you buy clothing or something. Now, you get to decide for you, and I think this is really important and something that doesn't get talked about very much. You get to decide for you what is a bill and what is personal spending, okay? For some financial advisors, for some budgeting people, they might say Netflix is not a bill, Netflix is personal spending, put that in personal spending. I, for myself, say that Netflix is a bill because I want it to be a monthly expense. Like, I'm going to keep watching Netflix. I don't think that a $14 bill for myself is something that I want to cut out. It's decisions like that you decide what is important to me. And I think of a bill as just like, these are the static things that I'm not shifting, versus personal spending, which is like, I'm intentionally deciding these things every month. So that means like, I go to the grocery store and I decide what I'm going to buy, versus having some sort of like, versus like my dog food, which I have on automatic pay and it just automatically ships to me. That's kind of the mindset that I do to separate those two out. And so you look at your personal spending and you evaluate it either weekly or monthly, and you say like, do I like how I spent my money? And if I don't, why? Like, what was the reasoning behind why I spent that way? And what do I want to shift about that? What would I have liked to have done? And make a plan from there. Now, the story that I was going to tell that I've circled around, and I apologize, is that I used to, I do, like, buy a lot of thrifted clothes. I go to thrift stores and I buy clothes. And I used to go and just, like, if I liked something with any modicum of emotion, then I would purchase it. And, you know, I wouldn't spend, like, a lot of money or anything, but I would just be like, yeah, that looks good enough. I kind of like it. We'll figure it out. And it got to be this thing that I did a lot of the time, and I just had all of these clothes, and I didn't actually want to wear them because I didn't actually like how they looked on me, or I didn't actually like them that much. And so this was one of those things where I looked at, like, I think I'm kind of spending in a way that isn't intentional and isn't really serving me. And so I made this conscious decision to say, I only purchase clothes if I am in love with how they look, or just, like, in general, or how they look on me. Like, I need to know that I would wear this today and not just, like, for one occasion, unless it's, like, a Halloween costume or something. But I made this rule with myself, and now I have a lot more discernment when I go into a thrift store. And of course, this is just, like, one little example of how you can make these decisions. But now when I go to a thrift store, I walk out usually with, like, max 2 to 3 items, if that. Like, a lot of times I don't get anything, and it's because I've decided, like, I'm not just going to buy anything because it seems cool. I'm going to intentionally say, this is something I actually want in my closet, and I'm not just going to, like, give it away. Now, this became a little more challenging during COVID because you couldn't try things on, so, you know, take that as you will. But that sort of thought process has worked really well for me. Let me know if you're following me. Let me know if you have questions at this point. I'm going to continue to go with my tips and my baseline. So, again, the baseline is the amount that you feel comfortable with every month. Like, that's what you need to feel comfortable, to feel neutral, to feel safe, to feel the things that you want to be feeling as just, like, a baseline for your life. And I, again, like, don't think that a lot of people say this, but, like, I think it's really important that you add into that, especially as a creative. Like, you don't say, I just need my electricity bill paid. Like, I also might need strings for my guitar. I want to have some space in my baseline, my, like, actual baseline that I'm setting for myself to, like, for me, this isn't a creative thing, but the thought process follows the same. I put it into my budget, to my baseline, to purchase Real Housewives because I like watching that show. I watch it with my friends, and you don't have to like that show, but, like, whatever the thing is for you, maybe you buy records every single month, and it's not like a need per se, but it's a need because it's how you want to live your life. Now, there's the baseline, and then there's the thing that I want, like, the kind of, like, next level up, and that's your next goal. Okay? And the next level up is, like, okay, I'm at my baseline, like, things are feeling good. Hopefully my dog's not gonna bark. I feel, like, neutral, I feel safe, I feel comfortable. And then there's, like, what would just be, like, life is tight right now. Like, life is great, I'm feeling abundant. And this is just personal to every single person, and that's your next goal. Now, the important thing about this is that if you're not yet at your baseline, that is your goal. Your goal is the baseline. And you want that to be the thing that you are building. Confidence is going to happen every single month. Like, however you make money, if it's a job, if it's a business, if it's creativity, something in that realm, the thing that's important is, like, do I feel comfortable? Do I feel confident that I'm going to have this baseline every single month? And that is a choice. That is a choice that you make to feel confident that you're going to make that. And then there's also the piece of, like, and what will I do if something happens? That's another thing to be thinking about when, especially, your brain really wants to focus on, like, scarcity and fear and all of these things. I wouldn't go into any sort of I would never go into a backup plan. I would never go into a plan B. I would never go into a like worst case scenario unless you're spinning out in like scarcity or fear or anything like that. And then to give your brain somewhere to focus, say, okay, what would I do if this happened? That's the plan. Now I have the plan. Now I'm never going to think about it again. We're going to focus on that never happening. We're just going to focus on the thing that we want to happen. And now we can let our brains like chill out. And I have a podcast episode on worst case scenario as well. So if you want to listen to that, Why Not Podcast, previously Messy Magic. I think it's a Messy Magic episode. Okay, so you have your baseline. This is the thing I talk about with my clients. I think this is really, really important, especially if you are a creative who wants to work for yourself in some capacity, whether you want to have a business or you want your creativity to fuel your income. Knowing what your baseline is going to be so important. And like I said, you want to be confident that you are bringing that money in before you rely on something you're not confident in. Like, you don't want to rely on a new business, on a creative venture, on anything like that if you don't have confidence that it will bring money in. Now, you're going to build the confidence that it's going to bring money in, as well as okay, all right. My dogs are barking. Well, one of them. You're going to build the confidence that this new venture or the business or whatever is going to bring the money in, as well as you're going to build up the things that you need to be doing for that to be true as well. But you don't want to put your stress and your fear and scarcity onto something new that you are working towards. So this is why the baseline is so important, is like, what can I do to create this baseline while I create this other thing that I want to fulfill my baseline eventually? I've talked about this before, but I just think this is really important, and knowing the facts of the situation and like I said, like allowing money to just be a fact and not, of course we have emotions around it because that's our world and we've created this way of capitalism, but looking at it as facts and saying just like, what do I need to do for the baseline to be met? That's it. Like, what do I need to do? And I've talked about this before, but you think of what are all of the ways that I could, and let go of any sort of like what I know how to do or what I can do or what I've done in the past or like whatever. What are all of the ways that a person can make money? And then ask yourself, of that list, what am I willing to do? And then of that list, what am I going to do? So if you don't have some sort of way of making money right now, that is the process that I would use. What are all the ways a person can make money? Of that list, how am I willing to make money? And then of that list, what am I going to do? What is the plan? What is the plan for the baseline? Get the baseline, and then we set other goals. The goal is the baseline first, and then other goals. That's it. And you add into your baseline whatever a baseline is for you. You get to decide. There's no shame, no guilt, no anything around it. It is your life. Okay. Then, and this is something I talked about with a client today, then you create your goal. So let's just say you have hit your baseline and now you're saying like, what's my next goal? And you can use this process even if you're trying to hit your baseline. You create your goal based on your income. So the goal is just like, this is my baseline or this is my next financial goal, whatever. Then you say like, what do I think that I would need to do to create that? Now it might just be, I keep doing my day job, or I sell this many of my records, or whatever it is. Like, what are all of the things that you think in a month you will need to do to create this baseline? Might be a long list, might be a short list, doesn't matter. You have that, and then you say, okay, like what is going to motivate me to do all of these things? What is the energy I want to bring to these actions that I think will create that result? Because you could be doing all of these actions and have it be from this like scared place or anxious place. And that's not to say that those feelings aren't valid, but it's like, if that's what you're infusing, if you're, for example, like trying to market your music on the internet and you're just like, I don't know, like, I hope you like it, good luck. Like, if that's the energy behind these actions, it's gonna likely create a very different result than if you go out online and you're like, hey, this song is awesome, you should check it out. That's much more likely going to create the result that you want. So that's what you want to think about. It's like, what energy do I think I'm going to need to be in order for these actions to have the effect that I want, which is the result that you want to get. And what do I need to think and feel for that energy to be possible? What's going to motivate me? And what I talked to my client about today, what we discovered is that he, like me, is not very motivated by the money part of it. Like, we're not just like money hungry, like I'm gonna get out there and get the money, get that cash. Like that's not the energy that's gonna get us the result that we want. We have to throw away, kind of like you set the goal and you decide what the actions are, and then you kind of throw away the idea of the money part of it. And it's like, why am I doing this? What is my purpose? For me, like with my business, I want all of y'all, all the creatives out in the world, I want you creating as much as you want. I want you to be abundant. I want you to be as rich as you want to be. I want us all helping each other. I want us all building really abundant and vibrant and fulfilling communities. I want everyone to have a good life, to make hella art, and to still pay their bills and beyond if that's what they want. That's what I want, and that's what fuels the things that I do every single day. It has nothing to do with my income goal, even though that's the thing that I'm building up from. That's just a fact. That's just how I'm setting a goal because it's a metric I can look at versus trying to determine when the whole world is on board with this like mission that I have, right? It's just a metric, and then everything else is like what actually matters. Let me know if this is making sense for you. This is kind of like the backwards way of making this goal is like, what do I need to connect to on a daily basis to create what I want to create? And that's going to be different for every single person, and it's going to be different based on the goal that you have. So if like, depending on how you want to make this income goal, what's going to fuel those actions, why am I doing those actions? What is my purpose with them? What is my passion for doing what I'm doing? What is the end goal that I'm going after, and why is that important to me? It's always coming back to your why, and this is what I do with my clients when inevitably things go off track and we just come back to like, why are you doing this in the first place? Why? It's a practice of always coming back to yourself, of a practice of not abandoning yourself, and it's a practice. And money is just one facet of how we set goals and determine what we're doing in our life. And I just think sometimes when you're deciding how you want to be making money, it does, like, it's what dictates kind of the details of it. Like, the money is like the details of it, but it's not the heart and the soul of it. And that's what really needs to be important. Like, you are holding two truths at once. Like, yes, the money is the goal because it's a metric that we can look at, but the money isn't the goal because I care about the money. The money is just the vehicle for the actual thing that I want, which is the good life, which is the life that I want to live, which is a fulfilling life, which is a community that I really care about, which is all of us feeling fulfilled and doing the things that we want to be doing and feeling good about those things. Money is just a facet of that. Okay. So that's how you create your goals. Know your baseline, know your facts. Don't be hopeful about things. Like I said, like if you're not confident that something is going to bring in the money, what are you confident will bring in the money? And can you do that instead so that you're not focused so much on just the needing to hit the baseline, and you can focus on your purpose and why you're doing something. It's a lot easier when you know that your baseline's getting hit. Don't have to do it that way. Again, none of this is financial advice. Do whatever you want. But this is my best advice, having opened a business twice, closed it once, worked a lot of various jobs, fit my creativity into the little spaces in between, and made a lot of mistakes along the way. And now I finally am at a space where no matter what I see in my bank account, I trust myself to do what I need to do to hit my baseline, to enjoy the process. I have the tools to know that I can enjoy the process, and this is what I share with my clients as well. They're able to know, what is my baseline, how am I going to hit it, how can I have fun in the process and not be so hyper focused on capitalism and money and the things that I don't actually care about, but they are a facet of my life. This is how you do it. Okay. And then, like I said before, focus on creating more, not spending less. Unless, like I said, like spending is an issue for you, then you would want to look at, like I said with my thrift store example, like you want to evaluate it. Like what is working, what is not working, and what do I want to do about the things that are not working? Why am I overspending? Why is this happening? What am I trying to fulfill, and can I fulfill that in other ways? And another thing that I want to say specifically to creatives, because I see us all kind of struggle with this, is accessibility is very important. Are you prioritizing your own accessibility as well? I'm not sure that a lot of people are. I think that we are so focused on community care, which is vital and absolutely needed, and we do need to do that. And we're talking about wealth distribution when the people talking about wealth distribution are not the wealthy ones a lot of the time. And that's not this, we should be talking about it. Of course, it's a problem to be solved. But I think that we need to also say, how can I get a leg up so that I can help other people? I don't have to put other people down to get a leg up. I'm not immoral if I don't do every single GoFundMe. Just be thinking about, I think we get so tied up in like how to be a good person, and identify for yourself what that actually means. Know what your goals on why your goals are those things, and focus on that. You're not a bad person if you're focused on how can I create more money so that I am not as stressed, so that I have more to give, so that I have more energy, more time, more brain space to give. How can I put a little bit of time and energy into creating that foundation now so that I have more later on, versus what I see a lot of people doing, which is just giving, and you never get a leg up. You never catch a break because you're always giving, which is so kind. And I really want all of us to be thinking, like, what is the sustainable path forward? What does that look like? Can I let go of some of these things temporarily so that I can be in a better place in the long run? So I just wanted to really bring that up. Like, are you considering your own accessibility to things and being really honest with yourself about it? I know I've been in spaces before where I'm like, I don't even know if I have the money to do this, but I feel like I need to give this money to someone else because they really need it. And while that's fine and good and kind, when do you get to make sure that you are taken care of? Like, you really do need to take care of yourself first so that you have more to give in the long run. So just consider that for yourself, whatever that looks like for you. Like, that's going to be an individual choice as to what that tangibly looks like. Again, book a call with me if you want to work some of this stuff out. Like, if money is a stressor for you and you don't want it to be anymore and you want coaching for that, I can help you through this. I can help you work through your money mindset, your plan for your money, your plan for if you want to go full time as a creative. We can work on that together so that money isn't a stressor, so that you hit your baseline, so that you hit your baseline and beyond. It is possible if you just think about what is the plan, let's set it in motion. So there's that. And then I think the only other thing that I really wanted to say, and again, let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if this is landing for you. Let me know if these tips are helpful for you. The only other thing I really wanted to say is decide that you are valuable right now. I think a lot of creatives give a lot away, a lot of their art away. And I don't necessarily think it's because they don't think they're valuable, but just that it's, I don't know what it is. Like it's a, not valuable, but like not valuable enough to be paid for it. And you are. Like, absolutely, I want to pay my friends for their art. I enjoy paying my friends for their art. I enjoy paying my friends for their services because I want them to be compensated for what they're giving out to the world, for their value. I don't want someone to just give me their album. I want to pay them for it because they put a lot of their heart and soul into that album. It's important to me to give them something in exchange for what they're giving me, which is a piece of their soul. Like, it's just ridiculous that artists aren't paid more. And I think it starts with us asking for more money. One conversation, I had Marquita on the podcast, and I think we talked about this. My friend Derek and I don't think he's on right now, talked about this, that as a working band, my friend is in a working band, they get paid for their shows. And we were talking about this idea that, like, if they don't ask for a certain amount at a show, or they accept less than that, that's also setting the standard for the people around them, for the bands around them. And I think about that too, that if I give art away, of course there are circumstances where you might do that, and I'm not saying, like, in every circumstance that's not acceptable. It's all your decision, but I just ask you to question it and say that when you do charge your worth, whatever that means to you in this moment, that also sets the precedent for the people around you. You're not only serving yourself, you're also saying, we as artists are valuable and we deserve to be compensated for our value. Your art is valuable. You are valuable. Whatever form your art is in, whether it's poetry or music or paintings or woodworking or letterpress or lanyards, I don't know. You created it. You are amazing and you deserve to be compensated for that. And I want you to take that in and I want you to believe it. Find your access point to that being believable for you. If you want help, book a call with me. This is what I do with my clients. But you have to believe that it's valuable first, and then you say, yeah, this is how much it is. Like, of course. Of course. You set the precedent for people paying you for your art. And you do that, like it kind of explained earlier with, like, the energy you put into if you're, like, marketing your music on the internet, is like, you just come to it of, like, of course you want this. Not because you need to have it, not because I expect you to purchase it, but just, like, it's great. Like, why wouldn't you? And if you don't feel that way, question that. Like, that's the thing to work through. And it's totally fine to, like, not always be confident in what you're creating, but just to believe your inherent value is something that's very important. I don't feel great about the EP that I wrote last year. It's very rough, in my opinion, but of course I think that it's valuable. And when people purchase it, I'm like, this is amazing. Like, the fact that someone's purchasing it is amazing because it's showing me, it's reflecting back to me what I already believe, which is that I am valuable, that my art is valuable, and I believe that about you too. I haven't even heard your art. I haven't even seen it. Maybe I have, but I believe it because we are all inherently worthy, and so therefore your art is inherently worthy because it is an extension of your soul, and that is what I believe, and I don't know that I'm willing to budge on that one. So that's that. I'm sure that I have more to say on money, but I'd love to know what your questions are, what you would like me to dive deeper into. I think I gave you a lot of things to think about. Maybe I'll write this up into, like, a blog post for the Speakeasy, if that would be easy, maybe more accessible for some of you. But thank you for joining me for happy hour. I hope that this was helpful. If you were watching the replay, please let me know in the comments what was most helpful for you, what you're going to take with you. Again, obviously any questions, you can DM me if you don't want to have a conversation in the comments. DM me about anything that I talked about today. I'm happy to chat with you about it. If this is something you really want to tackle for yourself, I can absolutely help you with that. I can coach you through it. We can devise a plan. We can decide what your baseline is. I can guide you towards you going to your baseline and beyond in a way that feels really good, that you enjoy. Like, that's what I talked to my client about today, is like, what's going to be the access point to you enjoying the actions to create this income goal that you have? Like, if you're not enjoying it, that is what we need to work through. And that's what I do with my clients. Like, how are you going to enjoy it? Because the goal is there because you want it. So how are you going to enjoy getting to the thing that you want? Like, you want to enjoy the whole process. Of course you're going to have challenges. Of course there's going to be days you don't like it. That's just life. Life is balance. But if this is something that you really want to tackle and find the access point for you, which is not always the thing that we think it is, like, we do have a lot of conditioned thoughts about money. And that's why I think coaching is so valuable in general, but especially on this topic, because you can really dissect what are these thoughts that I'm carrying with me that I don't even actually believe to be true, but I'm holding as true because I've been conditioned to believe them. And that's what it's so good for. And I can really pinpoint Like, what is this thought that you're not even hearing yourself say because it's so practiced, it's so conditioned, and I can catch it right away. That is one of the many values of coaching. So if you want to experience that, if you just want to like understand more about what it would look like to work together, book a free call with me. It's at the link in my bio. We'll talk about what it would look like to work together, what we could accomplish together, what is possible for you, which is probably beyond what you even think. Because I think you're amazing. I think you're magic. And I think that you deserve everything that you want. I think you deserve your baseline and beyond. And we all do. This is the final thing I want to leave you with, actually. Is I was thinking about how sometimes when you're creating like an income goal, or you're thinking about money and you're thinking about a money-based goal, it can feel selfish. Or even like asking for money for your art can feel selfish. If you are not a selfish person, which if you're asking the question, probably not, the things that you're doing, the way that you will use that money, the way that you will create the money that you make, the energy that you put behind everything that you do, the decisions that you make, will inherently not be selfish. And so, you having an income goal serves everyone because you are not a selfish person. There's my dog. It's inherent. It will only be a problem if you are a selfish person. That's when you would be selfish, as if that's a part of your being. So if you're not, it's not something to worry about. Like, you being a giving person will inherently inform your goals and how you utilize whatever happens with the money that you receive. So you can let go of feeling like it's selfish to want to make more money. It's selfish to ask for money from your art. If you are not a selfish person, then that is untrue. It is untrue that will be a selfish act. It just can't be, because you will always be thinking about other people, because you're a kind person and you want to have everybody win. And so if that is your inherent mindset, if that is your inherent energy, that's what you will infuse your goals with. That's what you will infuse your success with. That's what you will infuse everything with. That's just who you are. So you can just let go of worrying about that and lean into the fact that you're a cool person and everyone likes you. Okay? All right. I will see you next time. Bye.